The top lip of the chest is solid. In order to fix the outer skin to the Strongbox, the top lip has been hot punched. And when you hot punch, the metal stretches out sideways. In this case, it's actually been forged flat again, which has caused the punch hole to flatten and become oval. The reinforced corners also catch the catch. So when the lid closes, the sloping catch will be pushed back by this lip, and then once on the other side of it, will spring tightly shut. The reinforced corners have actually been chiselled to shape and then filed. There is a chisel mark in the corner here, and that's from the blacksmith's chisel 500 years ago. The edges were then filed to give them a nice clean edge, and if you look quite closely you can actually still see the file marks in the iron. Inside of the chest is another lockbox which has the same type of mechanism, a sprung catch, as the main lid of the box. Looking at the outside of it, you see a lock on the front. Now that's actually a fake lock. It doesn't come out the other side, and that is purely a decoy for anybody who might be trying to break into it, so they try to pick the wrong lock. On top of the lid we see a row of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 large rivets. Now this rivet here is actually a fake rivet, and it's spring loaded, and it will pop up and lift out, and that is where the lock is. The spring for it is on the inside, and it's quite long. It's this bit here. Now that will depress into the lid like so, and that actually releases the tension on the fake rivet, allowing you to open it. Whilst it's under tension, it's quite stiff and really quite hard to move. To make it a little bit harder to move, it's quite hard to see on camera, but there is a little lip, which I think you can just see on the underside there, a little lip which just engages with the keyhole and keeps it relatively steady. The key itself is a work of art. It is forged brazed together. The shaft of it is a piece of thin iron which has been rolled into a tube and brazed together, and you can just see the line of braze there. The rest of it has been filed to shape and brazed into place also. So it's quite a nice construction. You can just see the layers of braze there, and the braze where the tube has been closed up, and the whole thing has been filed before these bits here have been added. So that's a very nice piece of work. The small key here opens the internal box. Inside the lock, 2 of the guides are snapped off. The stubs of the broken guides are visible here and here, and they would possibly have had a cross section in order for the key to slide around them. Also, the key being bent means that it is fouling the side of the lock when turned. In the right hand side corner of the box there is a bracket which will engage like that, so that when the box is open you can rest the lid on it. This supporting arm is riveted on the outside here. Additional locking is provided by these hasps. which will fit over these bits here, so you can then padlock them on. The tabs here are riveted to the lip of the lid. The locking mechanism of the chest is very, very nice. It's broken in places, which is why the chest has come to me to be assessed for repair. It's also become very stiff over the years, partly because of the amount of dirt in there, partly also because the springs are probably becoming quite stiff with age. The entire mechanism of the Strongbox is actually attached to an inner skin. And not to the outside of the lid. This is presumably to stop people knocking heads off rivets and knocking parts of the mechanism out in order to access the contents of the box. The inner skin itself is riveted to the outer skin, however it is done so beneath these large reinforcing strips, thus making the mechanism inaccessible. The locking mechanism is run off one central bar. The central bar connects to various levers. So here you can see the central bar has a tab riveted to it. When the bar moves this way, it will pull the catch with it. It will also activate this lever here. This lever here being connected to this lever here, and this lever here being connected to the next catch. Here you can see a long tab riveted to the main bar, connected to this lever, which is connected to the catch. The main bar is connected to this lever, which is connected to this lever here, which itself is connected to the catch, and this lever here is connected to this catch and also to this catch via another lever here. The interesting bit are these splitter catches. Now these spread apart when the box is closed via a splitter. So this here spreads the two catches, which will then catch underneath. These two catches aren't actually connected to the main bar. They are split separately via this lever here, which is also activated by the key. And connected to this lever is a large square nut behind here, which as it rotates spreads these apart. The springs are quite interesting. I thought they were steel originally. There aren't any on display, but I think they are actually iron. Which has been left with a pin on it, like that, and then drawn out sideways like that. So this section here is flat, whereas this section here remains round. You forgive the perspective. Round and round. So this is all one piece. The flat bar, if we look at it sideways, here's the bit that remains round, and the rest of it is tightly coiled around it like a watch spring before forming the actual spring. To keep the springs stable, there are these spreader strips which will stop the spring from wobbling about as it's activated. Now I think they would probably have forged a tenon on each end of this bit, and in order to assemble it, this would have just been riveted, one on the spreader and one on the skin of the chest. The metal straps which hold the springs in place also seem to act to stop the levers slipping out of true. They've possibly been coated with a form of varnish at some point, or lacquer, which is yellowing and darkening.